Hello, ladies and gents, and welcome to another fabulous week of English 101. Over the weekend, you turned in your Murder on the Orient Express compare and contrast essay. So your first project is done. It's in. I've started reading those, and I'm really excited with how well you guys have pulled your ideas together. I should have those graded and back to you within 7 to 10 days. If it takes longer than that, reach out. Let me know. It might be the push I need. But I should have them back to you within that time frame. And now we get to move on to project 2. Hooray! Time stops for no man, and so it also does not stop for us. We just continue pressing forward as we move through the quarter. So this week we're going to start talking about project 2, which is going to build on this idea of revenge and justice, but kind of take it in a different direction. So at the beginning of the quarter, we talked about how having things tie together kind of thematically helps us transfer knowledge from one assignment to the other. A lot of researchers in educational psychology say that we learn these skills and we are able to retain them better if we have some kind of link between assignments. And so we're going to have a very similar kind of theme stretching throughout the quarter. And so we're going to be talking about justice again as we move into project 2. Now, our first project was a fictional case, right? We were looking at Agatha Christie's Murder on the Orient Express, trying to examine how these pretend people handled the justice system. Now, we get to move into real life and look at how real life people handle the justice system and some potential trip-ups, some ways that justice might be circumvented, or ways that justice prevails despite all odds. So we're going to be looking at this phenomenon of trial by media and how it might impact a court case, which is particularly apropos now in this age of social media where we're constantly bombarded with information 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It's not, well, the good old days of the 1700s where you picked up a newspaper maybe once a day, maybe once a week. You learned things like by socializing after church. You know, like life has changed very much. We have information all the time, and information is coming from a variety of sources. Some of those are good sources. Some of them are bad sources. Some of them are your crazy Uncle Jeff who just writes whatever he's thinking on Facebook. So I don't have a crazy Uncle Jeff. It's just, a metaphor. But there are so many places we get information now. Some of them are bad, and some of them are okay, and some of them are good. So it's important to look at where we're getting information, how it's convincing us of a thing, and whether that's going to have any real life implications. And so the idea of trial by media is that a jury pool is made up of people, right? And so those people are also constantly bombarded by all of this information all the time. They're humans just like us. And they may be getting information from not excellent places. And so is that potentially a problem? Could that sway them to think of the defendant in such a way that that defendant isn't going to get justice because they have a biased jury pool, even before the trial starts? These people come in already assuming the person is guilty kind of situation. So we're going to be taking a look at that in this project. And it's really exciting because this is real life. So I'm going to be giving you real life cases where the media may or may not have in fact violated the defendant's constitutional rights. The Sixth Amendment says everyone has the right to a fair, unbiased jury. So now we have to look at how do we maintain an unbiased jury? Are juries coming in already deciding guilty before they've even heard the case? That would be a problem, right? And so that's what we're going to be looking at in this essay. So we're going to start off with a discussion board. I'm going to ask you to read an article that's really interesting. This is a great background on this whole phenomenon. So you're going to read how trial by media can undermine the courtroom. And you're going to answer 4 quick little questions. That Sixth Amendment I was talking about, the right to a fair and impartial jury. Tell me about that. What impact does the author argue this pre-trial publicity can have on jurors? Pre-trial publicity means all the things you learn before you sit and watch the trial. Describe the new study published and how that might have some implications. And then what reaction do you have to this article? Is this surprising information? Is it new? Do you disagree? Do you agree? Did you already know this kind of stuff? Tell me a little bit about that there. It looks like some of you have already done this, so kudos. Way to be on top of stuff, guys. For those of you still working on it, read through that article. Really helpful article. Much like the Seltzer article, Leon Seltzer, from our last essay, this article is awesome for Project 2. You're not required to use it, but I highly recommend you do. So hang on to it after this discussion board. It will help you write the essay. So we've got that discussion, exciting. And then we're going to start talking about the essay. You're going to find that this essay has a much faster timeline than the first one. The first one I needed to give you a lot of skills. We needed to read through the book. We had a lot of building to do before you turned in the essay. This one, we have a lot of the skills. We don't have to read a book. And so it's going to progress a little bit more quickly. So you'll find that we have a wonderful PowerPoint. All of these are, of course, located in the Modules tab. So if you go into our class, go into the Modules tab, and scroll down. We're now in Project 2. Hooray! We've moved into a new folder. Woohoo! We're celebrating. It's great. The recorded lecture, Framed Justice, that's the one we're going to be watching tomorrow. Really excellent. Obviously, you get to hear my voice over and over again. So who doesn't love that? What? None of you love that? That's crazy. Don't be weird. All right. So recorded lecture, check that out. It gives you all the background you need. Talks about some of the cases in particular. Really helpful stuff. And then you can even take a look ahead of time at the Trial by Media topics list. I have a list of pre-approved cases simply because in order for a case to really match this prompt, it needs to have already been resolved. So like it needs to have gone through court, it needs to have gone through appeals processes if it needed that. And so some of these cases are a couple years old just because we need that time for the justice system to work. So you're going to pick a case from this list and talk about it in your excellent upcoming essay. We're also going to talk about logical fallacies. Check out this PowerPoint. I will post a recorded version of it as well, just because it's very helpful information as you're looking at how the media discusses certain cases. Logical fallacies are prevalent throughout Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, heck, any of the 24-hour news cycle channels like Fox News or CNN. Everybody's got a bias. We've talked about that before. Everyone's got a bias. Sometimes you can find that bias through finding logical fallacies. Then you're going to be looking at supporting materials and resources. We're going to look at how the trial by media can undermine the courtroom. You've got your article here. If you're interested, particularly in juvenile cases, there are a couple of the juvenile cases on the list. You can take a look at this article to help you out. The Innocence Project is an awesome group that goes into already incarcerated individuals and tries to figure out if they were actually guilty or maybe if they got a bad jury. And they are in fact innocent. They've freed a lot of people. They've got some really cool stuff they're doing. And then a couple more articles just for background. All of this is just to help you write your project. Not required reading, but you might find it beneficial, sort of stuff. And then we're going to get into the essay. I have a recorded video on the outline and thesis statements, just like with our last one. We're not going to get into this until next week, but if you like working ahead, you've got that available for you. You've got the prompt, the outline, the worksheet, the rubric, so you know exactly how I'm going to grade things. Signal phrases for quotes, paraphrases, and summaries. This is really helpful. I'm finding as I'm reading through your Murder on the Orient Express essays that some of us get a little bit repetitive. So this will help us develop our vocabularies, help us heighten our academic tone, all that good stuff. Great resource for you here. And then I have, in fact, included a couple sample essays for you because this project is a bit trickier than the first one, as it should be, because we're learning more and moving forward. So I've got some sample essays to help you out here too. And then if you need a little bit of humorous motivation to help you as we're going to proofread, we're going to get into that later. I've got some great clips of errors other people have made that are ridiculous. So just to give you a little lighthearted boost if you're feeling bogged down in all the work. So that's where we're headed. That's where we're going. So much fun stuff coming our way this week and next week as we work on Project 2. So view the prompt in the case list. You are going to be telling me about the cases you're interested in. So take a look at one or two. In fact, I want you to share 2 cases. So please share 2 cases from our trial by media and why you're interested in them. Tell me a little bit about them. You'll need to answer all 5 questions for each case. So 10 questions in total. Good stuff there. All right, back to our calendar just to make sure I didn't miss anything as we round the bend on this video. We've got our thesis and outlines. This is just a reminder to continue to work on those, start developing them, as we'll get into that next week. Because if you just take a glance into November, we're going to start writing the essay, revising it, and we're going to jump into peer reviews early next week. So quick timeline on this essay, simply because we don't have to read a book and we've got some of these skills under our belt. So take a look at everything you need this week to be successful. View the prompt and case list, start working on that thesis statement and the outline, and we'll get the ball rolling on this thing. Great work, guys. Really looking forward to reading through your Project 1 essays and seeing how Project 2 develops. As always, reach out if you have any questions. I'm here to help. You guys are rock stars for watching through the end of the video. Super kudos. Keep up the good work, guys, and I'll talk soon.